Hello and welcome everyone to all of you who has tuned in to this interview. Today we have with us a very special guest and she is Ella Greenwood. Ella is an English filmmaker, actress, writer and activist. She's also an ambassador for STEM4. She is the director of the mental health focused company Broken Flames Productions. She has earned critical acclaim for a short film Faulty Roots, and she also appeared on the Forbes 30 Under 30 2021 list. And we are so excited to tell you
Ella Greenwood is here with us. She's a total inspiration and she is the cover feature of our issue 10.
And that's really exciting. And we are so delightful to have Ella here. We just talked about all of the wonderful things that Ella does at such a young age. And today we will be able to have a very raw conversation with Ella on what goes behind Broken Flames Productions and as well as her short film, Faulty Roots. And welcome, Ella. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm great, thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. So I also have with me Nayonika, who will also join in for this interview. Hello, Nayonika. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure having you here with us too. So Ella, let me start with my first question for you. You started out into this field at a very young age for filmmaking, writing, and production. What is it that drove you into this field? Was it from a personal calling, and was it an easy path for you?
Well, I've just always loved films. Like, I love to watch them. I love to go to the cinema, and knew that I very much wanted to be involved in them somehow. Like that's what I wanted to spend my life doing, creating them, being involved with them, watching them. And so yeah, that's always kind of been what I wanted to do. And it is hard. It's not an easy industry to kind of get into, or it's hard to know about it without being in the industry. And I didn't have any connections. I didn't know anyone else that was already in the industry. So there was a lot of things that I was confused about. But yeah, I think if you want to start making films, you can do it. It's not as exclusive as it seems.
You talked about getting into films at a very young age and having no connections. And especially at the age of 18, you wrote, you directed, and you also produced the short film, Faulty Roots. But then, how was it to get into this industry without having any connections? And how was it to cope up with anxiety? Were you also anxious to get into this industry at such a young age and to build your name? How was it for you to get without any connections and develop your own path?
Yeah, I mean, it was very much just a case of trying and attempting to do things and kind of learning through experience. Yeah, like I didn't really have anyone that I could ask for advice. It was more, I'm gonna watch YouTube videos, I'm gonna Google it, I'm gonna just try and learn as much as I can, kind of through the internet. And then that I'll just try and get all the pieces that I need to make this film, and I'll just do it, and I'll just hope that it goes well, and I guess just plan as much as possible and kind of eliminate all those things that could go wrong and try to anyway. And I mean, it is stressful. I think anything that you do on your own, filmmaking, like anything like that, it's a lot of pressure on you. But I think I was more excited to do it, and I very much enjoyed the process. Of course, there were times when I was really overwhelmed and stressed, but overall, it was just a really good experience.
Oh, it's nice you also told us about that. It was also a stressful experience, as well as something that was also exciting for you, as it was something that you were passionate about, filmmaking and starting that from a young age. And it's actually very commendable and surprising how you built your own path without any connections and tried like trial and error method, and you tried your way into it. So can you tell us something about your short film, Faulty Roots? What was your inspiration behind it, and how much did it mean for you at that time and even at this moment when you produce it at the onset of your career?
Yeah, so Faulty Roots is about a teenage girl with depression, and I struggled with my mental health as a young teen, so I very much wanted to share some of those experiences that I had, and brought those into it. So it's kind of a mixture. It's like I was, it's quite scary because you are sharing your own experiences, but then also I think it kind of gives you a bit more confidence because you know what you want to say and you know what you want to share, and like people can't really tell you that it's wrong if it's your experiences. So yeah, I guess it's like I really liked sharing those experiences. I think it helped. I kind of touched on things that maybe I hadn't shared with other people around me that I'd gone through, and that I hoped other people could relate to. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it has been kind of like just my life for quite a while. It was the first film I made, and from that, everything's kind of built from that moment onwards, and now I'm working on the feature version of it, so it's still so much my life. And yeah, and I just kind of I loved the experience of making it, and I'm so glad that I did.
Yes, I can totally relate to the experience of getting the chance to share your story and share something that was so important for you, be it your mental health or your story or where you come from, something that's very central to your identity. And how was it at that time to show your vulnerable side and to get a chance to express yourself through the medium of your film, Faulty Roots? And it is actually very delightful to know that Faulty Roots also earned critical acclaims, and that you were 18 at that time. So how was it to touch on that topic of mental health?
Yeah, it's such a strange thing to think about because when I was struggling, I didn't tell anyone, and I very much kept everything that I was going to myself. And then after that, I still I didn't tell anyone what I had been through, and I just didn't really talk about mental health and mental illness at all. The first time that I did was doing this film, and it's all about mental illness, so it was quite a yeah, it was quite a change for me to speak about it, and that was scary. But it was so lovely with some of the responses that I received, that people could relate to it, or that it helped them understand mental illness a bit better. Yeah, it's crazy. Like now, my company focuses on mental health based projects, and that's kind of what I do with my time. Like all of my time is focused on mental health in some aspect. So it's quite a change to have gone from not speaking about it at all to now only well, not only speaking about it, but speaking about it a lot.
Oh, that's so meaningful. That sounds really meaningful. And now that you have mentioned about Broken Flames Productions, the production company that's focused especially on mental health, I would like to ask you that in this 21st century, where all of our perspectives are based on social media or the films that we watch, the content that we consume, how important it is as the ones who create media, for someone like you to touch upon these topics that are actually important in the society and produce them through the medium of your films or to your production company, and also not just share your own story but also share your story in a way that other people can relate to it and get something from it and get empowered to share their own stories.
Yeah, I think it's so important. I think the media has such an impact on people. It can really influence how they're feeling and what they think about things and how they view things. It's such a huge influence. And so you have to be very careful with what you put out there, and with content that kind of has a negative impact rather than positive. I love content that's kind of feel good and kind of stories that are very much out there, and it's amazing. But with content that there's a lot of content that just represents mental illness in a really negative way, and leads to people feeling even more stigmatized and not wanting to speak out. And I think that content, you know, shouldn't really exist. Like, it's incredibly harmful. And so if you can put out content that tries to give it more positive representation and tries to help people, I think that's a wonderful thing to do. And I think it's a really great way to kind of to make a change and make a difference.
How does it feel to become the instrument of change rather than actually just waiting for it to happen and actually waiting for it to see, but actually producing something that is not just meaningful for you, but also helps advocate a cause that you're passionate about, and here in case, mental health, which is a very important topic to touch upon?
Yeah, I think like I'm so passionate about what I do and about trying to help people with my work, and I think that's just a lovely position to be in. If you're passionate about what you do, I think that's what's most important. And yeah, you know, if it helps one person, that's absolutely amazing. If it helps multiple, incredible. But I think, yeah, even if it helps them in such a slight tiny way, you know, I'm happy, and it would kind of mean that everything that I'm doing and how I'm spending my time is worth it.
Oh, that's wonderful. That it's actually wonderful to know that you have created something that is meaningful to you, because not many people in this world are doing things that they are passionate about or something that they want to advocate about. And it is wonderful to know that. I will now invite Nayonika to continue the conversation and just ask Ella about all the things that we are curious about.
Definitely. Thank you, Bhagyashree. Firstly, I am so honored to be sharing this platform virtually, but sharing this platform with you, Ella. Like, it is an absolute delight for both of us. Um, so I would like to start from the very rock bottom. Like, let's get back to the basics. Um, you work avidly for mental health, and we all are teenagers here, and we know how congested our minds can be sometimes. But people don't really see our problems as problems, because how much can a teenager be facing, right? They just have school and homework, but that's not all, right? So what struck to you that made you venture into this sphere and actually let people know that mental health is as important as physical well-being?
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a lot of stigmatization everywhere, you know, across the world with mental health, and people not wanting to speak out about it or not reach for help, and then not being able to get help if they do reach out, and people just very much not taking it seriously and not taking mental illness seriously. And then when you get to kind of young people, it's even more amplified, because it is, you know, I've had experience of people telling me, you know, it's just part of being a teenager, it's just growing up, it's just you know, if you've fallen out with friends, if you are you stressed about exams. And it's like there's a lot of pressures on teenagers that adults seem to not remember, you know, particularly now, the climate change, a lot of people have climate anxiety. That's such a huge thing, you know, and it can really make you feel hopeless. And there's a lot of pressures coming from everywhere, from social media, from comparison. And then there's also just mental illness that's kind of really not caused by certain influences like that. Like, it literally is just it's just an illness that you can't control and you can't change, as much as getting any illness that's physical or a sickness. You know, it's something that you can't control. And that's, yeah, I think some people just think that it doesn't work like that, that it's not something to be taken seriously in young people, because, you know, our emotions are here, there, and everywhere. But it's not it's something that really needs to be taken seriously, whether it's been influenced by factors that really do impact our lives, or whether it's been, you know, it's just, you just have depression and you can't control it. It's not been caused by anything or influenced by anything. These are all things that, you know, teenagers need to feel validated with.
Wow. So I think that you're the embodiment of the saying that you need to be aware yourself to get somebody else aware, because you yourself seem to know a lot about mental health and the issues that are ongoing, and that is the immediate way you can actually solve the problem if you know the problem yourself. So what I do want to ask you, these were the problems, but what there are a lot of people watching this, teenagers, adults. What do you suggest? What is a way to, I don't think you can cope with mental health, but actually keep you healthy emotionally, psychologically? How can we do that?
I mean, it's just so important to take care of yourself, and that sounds quite simple and also quite broad at the same time, but it just comes back to the very kind of simple comparison of, if you did, you know, hurt or break your ankle, you would absolutely rest it and you would take the time to recover. Whereas if you are struggling with your mental health, you just tend to keep going. So many people keep going and don't take the time to kind of just process what they're going through, and that things are a bit hard at the moment, and that they do need to take that step back and really just work on getting themselves back to a place where they are able to go and do the things that they normally do again. So it's just, yeah, like putting emphasis on the your mental health is as important as your physical health, and if you need to do things, you need to take time off, and you need to just really take the time to kind of recover in a sense, or just at least not push yourself over the edge, then that's absolutely what you need to do.
Now, you said about Rishi, when I asked you the question, you said that you had no connections when you entered the industry, and there are a lot of people who come into the industry single-handedly. So do you think, is that like a good thing? Was that a push that made you more independent and more like, I have to show them what I've got? Or what are your thoughts on that? That, are you proud that you were alone and you've stood alone and you've been upright throughout this journey?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely proud of it, and I think it does make you work hard. But I think, you know, now I'm in the industry, it's absolutely lovely to have help, and it's lovely to connect with other filmmakers. And if you have that already, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know, it's also just wonderful to really connect with people. But I definitely do think that it made me work harder, and that I had to figure out things on my own, and I had to figure out what I kind of wanted to do with my filmmaking and with my company, and how I wanted to do things, rather than having a lot of pressure from other people on how, and them kind of telling me how I should do things, or how I should get into it. So yeah, I think I like that. I think it worked out the best for me. But yeah, now it's also lovely to be working with other people and not just have it all on me.
Definitely, definitely. So I think it's a win-win situation. You get both independency and also that harmonious teamwork feeling, value in yourself. So I was watching an interview with Good Bad Mad on YouTube that you had, and you said that last year you did a voiceover project that was in French. So I would really like to ask that, do you think learning new languages or inculcating ourselves into co-curricular activities opens our minds and help us fresh more positively and keeps our minds and bodies healthy?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's so nice really now getting to see, particularly in films, like content from other countries, and seeing them as they are, and that they are getting recognized in their original form, rather than kind of English speaking countries remaking them, which actually is still the case. But it's nice that the original versions are very much being appreciated, because yeah, like with film, for example, it's all about seeing other people's experiences and seeing their lives and seeing what they go through. And you know, there are so many similarities between people everywhere, but there are also so many differences, and it's really nice to appreciate those differences, and to just learn more and to kind of experience life how they're experiencing it. And I think that's a wonderful thing that film really helps us to do. So yeah.
If you could take up any other language to learn, which language would you take up next other than French and English?
Oh, I wish I could speak them all. I really do. I don't know. I wish I could speak them all. I suppose maybe something like really different kind of Russian or Mandarin, where it's just absolutely so different to the kind of English language, you know, how it looks, how it sounds. I think that would be, you know, people that can speak a lot of different languages are extremely talented, and yeah, that would be really cool.
Amazing. I really hope that your schedule allows you to learn another fun language. But one last question I have for you is that, like Bhagyashree said, Faulty Roots is a short film on mental health. So, like, when you thought about it in your mind, when you and your team thought about it and wrote the scripts, was it difficult to portray such a sensitive topic that's going to reach so many people? And were you, of course, everybody was nervous before the arrival of Faulty Roots, but was it hard putting the script in the minds of people? Was that hard doing?
Yeah, I think it's always hard. You're never, anything that you do, it's never gonna kind of be everyone's favorite. Everyone has different opinions, but I think the most important thing for me was that I just tried to bring a more normal representation of mental illness and to accurately share things that I had gone through with it. And because, you know, I was someone that was really influenced by the media and its representation of mental illness and mental health, and so it was just kind of thinking, how would I feel if I was watching this, you know, kind of trying to think of it in an unbiased way, even though it was so heavily influenced by me. Trying to think, you know, if I was at my worst, would this be a good thing to see, or would it be a harmful thing to see? And having that in mind constantly and making sure that it was the good thing rather than the harmful thing. I think that's, you know, the most that you can do. And after kind of really thinking about that, I was just, yeah, excited to share it with people, and to see what they thought.
That's amazing. But I'm really sure that you had a lot of fun shooting and actually doing what you're passionate about, along with the moral cost associated. So that was my last question. Thank you so much, Ella. Talking to you, speaking to you, you're a very real and grounded person. It was just, I was inspired by you all along. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, Elha, even I was so inspired, and everyone here at Empower Magazine has been so inspired by your work and all that you do. I have just one last question, which stems out of a lot of curiosity. Um, how was your life before you became an actress and a filmmaker and producer? Because people generally have these very glamorous ideologies in mind of particular careers. But how has it changed for you? Because you are still the same person, and what do you do to make it feel more real and to also balance self-care with your work and all the glamour and the workload and the stress and anxiety that comes along?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like it doesn't feel any different at all. And I think something that really does help is that, like, you know, my kind of my best friends and my family, they just have nothing to do with filmmaking and the industry and anything like that. And sometimes, you know, when I do talk about my work, sometimes they don't really understand exactly what I'm talking about, or, you know, it is just very, I guess they've just got a different viewpoint of it and can give that different advice and stuff like that. And to them, like, it is just like I'm just kind of doing a normal job. I could be doing anything really and it would still be the same. So that definitely helps. And then, yeah, just making sure that I'm kind of doing what I want to do and staying true to what I want to share rather than being influenced by other people. So
Oh,
yeah, I
would you
think
repeat that for us?
yeah.
Would you repeat that for us about staying true to yourself? That was really powerful. Can you repeat that for us?
Yeah, no, it's just making sure that I'm doing, you know, things that I would be proud of and things that I want to do rather than being influenced by those around me, or potentially easier routes, or yeah, what others think I should be doing. And yeah, just staying true to what I want to represent.
Oh, that was so meaningful because at the end, it just comes down to you and what you want to do and what is it that you're passionate about and what is it that you as a person want to do. Ella, it was really nice talking to you. I cannot tell you how much insight that you have gained into your journey and your passion for filmmaking and how you stand for the causes for mental health through your production company, through your short films, and how you have shared your story with the entire world through your short film 40 Roots. And now 40 Roots is going to be portrayed in a feature film, and we all are really excited for it. And all the very best to you for that. And thank you for being here with us as the cover
Thank
feature
you.
of Empower Magazine's issue 10. Thank you so much, Ella.
It was lovely
Thank you so
speaking with
much.
you.
Thank you. So, all of those who haven't read already, Ella Greenwood is the cover feature of issue 10. And you can go and read at www.empowermag.net in magazine issue 10. And there you can find Ella's story in a written magazine, where she answers questions about self care, short film 40 Roots, and even a deeper insight into her career and how she started it at the age of 18 and how she feels about it right now. So thank you everyone for tuning in. And Ella, thanks to you for tuning in with us today.
Thank
Definitely.
you.
It was amazing having you.